mind, at that moment in time, things might have been different, because then perhaps he might have advised something else to the president. So we need to target such important people that, excuse me, before you come out and with some sort of a policy, which might be good, which might be bad, but let's work it out in the public domain. Let's discuss it here. Let's talk about it. And then, fair enough, do what you have to do. So that is the line I feel that the media, international media, should be doing throughout, because they are the people who really matter.
More discussion, more critical analysis.
Yes.
Well, my vision of the future media, because I'm a strong believer in democracy in process, is that commercial media will be declining and national public media will be re-emerging, because national public media can bring to the public what it actually needs and strives to learn internationally, locally, nationally. Commercial media shows and tells what sells. And national public media does what journalistic integrity and pluralism and unbiased approach takes. So that's my vision of it.
Just to understand you correctly, Ms. Dubinsky, will this national public media be funded by taxpayers?
I believe so, because democracy in process means stronger civil society. And as people become, more powerful financially, socially, emotionally, in all regards, so they will be more willing to fund what actually speaks to them, the language and the content that they would like to hear or to see or to read.
My question is, won't that turn journalists into government employees and create a consequence of its own?
It's not the government. It's two different things. Public and government, it's different things.
All right. Is it like Voice of America is public or government?
Voice of America is the United States federal government radio and TV and actually internet, multimedia station. It is being funded by U.S. Congress. Okay. We do not depend on any, secretary or any ministry or any agency. We are a separate entity, but it is still funded by U.S. Congress. National Public Radio or National Public Television, what the source of its life and well-being is. So it's different things.
Okay, that's a very good distinction. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would hope that citizens pay more attention to the media and fund media themselves and complain to the media when they see something wrong or that they don't believe is correct. And I'm thinking that perhaps media, nonprofit media is the way to go, because if it's profit-driven, then they are looking for the bad news or the hype or the Anna Nicole's father of her child and stuff. Try to get nonprofit funding and real news out there for readers and listeners.
So the issue that Mr. Mead was saying, the issues of poverty and hunger and unemployment.
And the important stories instead of wasting our ears and our eye on garbage.
Anna Nicole Smith.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. I agree with all of the panelists that information and journalism has to be a serious pursuit. It has to be, I think, a non-commercial pursuit, as has been so eloquently said. And it has to be journalism of inquiry. The journalists must retain their critical faculties at all times and to avoid the kind of misadventures of a Mr. Wolfowitz or anyone else. You cannot permit the officialdom to, unchecked, move ahead on a path that may lead to disaster. There should be enough voices questioning it, and it's the duty of the media to be that strongest voice. I'm reminded of a story, by the way. I see you looking at your watch.
No, I'm saying, please. I said, please. I didn't look at my watch.
Well, I'll try to make it quick. There was a Washington Post editor several years ago who assigned a young intern to cover a ceremony at the Vietnam Memorial on Memorial Day. And she said, well, that's fine. I can get the text, and I can get past stories from the internet, and I'll weave everything together. And the editor said, no, you won't. you will go there. So she went there, and it had rained the evening before, and the raindrops were rolling down the edge of the monument. And there was a woman stooped right in the middle where you had the most names, the towering names, the casualties in the war. And the woman was stooping down, putting the bouquet there, and then she turned to the reporter and she said, "Do you see those drops? They're tears." Now that story would never have been possible had someone sat in a swivel chair and hadn't asked the ultimate question. But I submit that any reader of that story will remember it 10 years from now, and it will sink into their consciousness, and it will certainly enhance the human spirit. And that's what it's all about, enhancing the human spirit through information.
You are such an eloquent storyteller, Mr. Heil. It's a pleasure to have you. I've been in this country for now 35 years, and the longer I have lived in this country, the more I have fell in love with the ideals and principles of this country. And the more I have fell in love with the ideals and principles of this country, the more I have felt the need to stand up for the principles, to challenge authority, to think critically. My teacher, Arthur Quinn, used to tell me that the freedom of expression is not based on the obligation to be right, but the latitude to be wrong. So freedom of expression, pluralism, multitudinous attitudes, multi-perspectival writings, all of these things are that make a civilized community. This is a discussion from a loving heart, but with a critical eye of looking at America itself. While it shows light to the rest of the world, it must also see the same light. It must open up, and it must end oppression of Latinos, of Muslims, of Arabs and other communities in this country. It cannot be a just leader to the world if it's not just to its own people in this country. On that note, I thank every one of you.